Welcome, dear listeners. We have eerie tales ahead. You'll be lured into the realm of nightmares filled with fear and dread. We'll ease you in with laughs, but you mustn't be misled. Be wary, you've been warned. Don't listen before bed.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to Don't Listen Before Bed. I'm Aero.
Bada bing, bada boo. No, I'm joking. Hey guys, it's me, Ari. How you doing?
All right, we're back for another week with a terrifying tale to be told around the campfire. But before we get into that, how are you, Ari?
I'm doing good. As I said before we started chatting, we're recovering from the wedding. We recently went to a wedding, so weddings are always fun, but they do end up keeping you, what's the word, on low battery, exhausted for a couple of days. So I'm in that phase where I'm just chilling, relaxing, and I think I'm back to kind of like a good state now to do my week, my work, all that kind of stuff. So pretty good.
We're getting old, man. We're getting old. We need to recover from weddings.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it is, man. But hey, look, in a way, I kind of like sleeping early again and all that kind of stuff. So it's weird.
Yeah.
We have to look after our health, right? So
I know. We say that, but then what did we do on Friday night? We stayed up till 3 a.m. playing
Lords of the Fallen, one of the nicest games that we found recently. So that's good. Good that we kind of found a game to play together. I feel like that's quite rare, right?
It is, especially because I'm not good enough to play ranked FPS games with you, and I generally play one-player indie horror games, so there's not much crossover until something like this comes out, and it's the perfect thing because you can do duo the entire game. It's not like Elden Ring, for example, where it's only the dungeon that you're in or until you finish the boss in that area or whatever.
And honestly, credit to you. I'm really happy that you actually really you have an interest in these games as well now. I felt like when I played this a couple of years ago, and I was showing you I think it was Bloodborne. I felt like I was introducing you to torture, and I was smiling hey, try this, come play.
Yeah.
So it's nice that naturally on your own you kind of enjoyed them, and now we're playing a game together. So these Souls games, not for everyone, but when you do enjoy it, you will love it. So it's cool. You
got to have a little bit of a masochist tendency or part of you because it's literally torture. Sometimes I'm just sitting there and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
Exactly.
I should be doing work or, go to the gym.
Exactly, dude. That's how I feel every single time I play one of those games. I genuinely feel like I am sabotaging my own life, but I love it, so I don't care.
My own mental health.
Yeah. No.
Anyway.
But how are you? How are you? Let's hear it.
You got me. You got me.
You have to tell us.
I'm doing well. Nothing creepy has happened to me in the last week. No Serbian dancing ladies have appeared my room in the middle of the night.
Yep.
No one has appeared in my driveway, which is another good thing.
Very good.
Because that was very scary last week, and you actually scared me when you were like, he knows where you live now. If he comes back?
Can I be honest, man? That was a good session. You also scared me. You really scared me with that story because it's not like a, what if story or is this story real, a myth, whatever. It's it's a normal human being doing something very basic like dancing, right? So this shit gets to me all the time, and I was actually quite creeped out that entire day from that story. So good episode.
When there's a monster or something that's for example, the
poop licker,
where it's or the poop licker, exactly. Something that's poop licker.
The filth lover, I think it was.
Filth licker, I think it was. But it's Akaname. Call it by its
real name, right?
Yeah. Those things are so fantastical that it's part of you is but that's not real.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whereas the story that I told you last week, there's nothing about that couldn't be real. It was just someone that's out there terrorizing people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. But so thankfully nothing crazy has happened to me and nothing crazy has happened to you. So I think that gives us grounds to get into something new. Another scary story that might mess up our current week. How does that sound?
I need that. I've been watching Christmas movies, and I need to go back to the Halloween side of things again. So
we're stuck in this eternal Halloween town from Kingdom Hearts. Yeah. But this story for this week is following a trend from last week. How did you feel about the TikTok side of things? Because that place, man, that eternal zone of infinite scrolling has some really good
Caelid.
content.
It's Caelid from Elden Ring. It's just a burning zone of hell. That's what TikTok
It's hell
is.
on earth.
Yeah, but it has
Yeah,
good
it
stuff.
is.
It does.
It does, and it's also introduced me to the story for this week. And it's going to be a little bit different. I didn't put together a story this week. I found a really cool creepypasta that was introduced to me via TikTok. And the intrigue I had when I saw the TikTok led me to be like really get fully consumed in the lore of this creepypasta. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the creepypasta verbatim, just exactly how it is, not my version or story created from it.
Yeah.
And then we'll go through some of the crazy comments that are on there.
Those are
that
always the best.
I swear to you,
They're better than the real story, right?
Sometimes because the actual creepypasta or the original post will bring up a topic.
Yeah.
And then the commenters will be like, yeah, but it happened to me, way worse or something like that.
I am the demon. I am the guy that hurt someone. Like, they are the killer.
Like 35M male with my 25F wife. We are the demons. Unfortunately, we are filth lickers. Okay, but before we get into the story, I have to show you the video that sparked my rabbit hole journey. Let's say. So I sent it to you on Discord. Press play now.
Sure. Okay, I'll describe it for the listener. So we see a happy TikTok of a young lady sipping tea in her beautiful Pinterest-looking home. And she notices a really odd face-like figure on her lamp. And the lamp is just staring right at her across the hall or the lounge. And her TV starts to static. So that's all I see right now. But I'm going to pause and dissect.
So there's a caption as well. The caption says, when you're 3 years into a happy marriage with 2 kids, and then she's smiling and blah, blah, blah. And then she notices, what you said, a face where the main body of a lamp should be staring back at her. And then the caption underneath that is just, if you know, you know. And it says the lamp story.
Oh, that's enticing you to Google that right away.
Yeah. So that's when I went into it and I found that it was actually a Reddit story. And I have the original Reddit story here in front of me. So, do you want to hear it?
Yes, please. Let's go.
So the commenter is a person called I don't even know what that says. TMPTOTOSSSOON. Tim Totoson.
Sure. Yes.
Means nothing. The first sentence in the story is throwaway account because this is really personal. So that could mean anything. All right. Let's just jump straight into this thing. My last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds and I was 120 pounds. While unconscious, on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married and almost immediately she bore me a daughter. I had a great job and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, my wife bore me a son. My son was the joy of my life. I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. One day, while sitting on the couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. It was a square lamp base, red with gold trim on 4 legs and a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it. The next morning, I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about the lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon, I stopped that too, as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at the effing lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me. By this time, my cognizance was breaking up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I had my epiphany. The lamp was not real. The house is not real. My wife, my kids, none of them are real.
Damn.
The last 10 years of my life are not effing real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted in dimensions. It took up my entire perspective, and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kinds of weird noises, and I became aware of pain. A effing shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing my teeth," and I opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk, surrounded by people that I didn't know. Lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up, dragged/walked me across the sidewalk and grass, and threw me face down in the back of a cop car. I was still confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to wait for the ambulance to arrive. And I was given a CT scan. I went through about 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children and dealing with the knowledge that they never existed. I was scared that I was going insane as I would cry myself to sleep, hoping I would see her in my dreams. I never have, but sometimes I see my son, usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He's perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says. I've had many PMs describing similar experiences and 3 posters stating such experiences are impossible. I'd say much more research needs to be done on brain functions. A few have asked me if they can write a book or screenplay about it, but please consider this tale as open source and have fun with it because I don't want to talk about it again. Now going back to that TikTok, does it make sense to you now?
Yes.
There's this trend of being scared that the life that people are currently living is a dream and they're stuck inside of it. Isn't that terrifying?
When you told me that story, like the moment you said, like, oh no, like what if I just lost 10 years of progress of my life? I felt so unhappy and uncomfortable. I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, I obviously love my fiance, my partner, right? My family, my friends, everything. Like, if I was to lose all of this in one go, that would genuinely be the number one like nightmare ranking in my list, like number one nightmare I would ever have. Not like seeing a demon. Yeah, no, seriously. If I saw a demon, okay, it's a nightmare. If I saw a like the boogeyman twerking and I was paralyzed, like stuck in my bed, like having a nightmare, that's okay. It's a nightmare. But if I lost my 10 years of my life, like just right now, that's an actual nightmare. That's like rank 1 nightmare, you know?
It's so terrifying because the detail that he lived his life in that supposed dream is so real to him. He can remember fine details
of those scary, man,
of his life. And then he just woke up. But forget about the details of like the, intricacies of his life. The connection he had with this person that never existed, with his children and his wife. Bro. Oh my God. He grieves over her.
Yeah. You spend time buying stuff together, furniture, cool plates, mugs, all these things. It's the little things that make you so happy. And then like one day, all of that is deleted. It's like literally having a Word document on your work laptop. And then, one day that's deleted. But that's your life. 10 years.
It's a Word document.
Yeah, it's a Word document.
How do you think of these things? How does your mind go to Word document with everything that we've been talking about?
I'm just saying, like, imagine you've got an assignment due at 12:36, not 12 p.m. Midnight, sorry, a.m. 12:36 a.m. But then, like, at 12:32, you're like, I'm ready to save this, and then you look up, and it's like that SpongeBob episode where all you wrote is the, and it's June. But you have a 10-year memory of like your Word document, but it's gone.
Oh my God!
But it's terrifying, dude. Honestly, it's sad.
It's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. I you know what? I will bring out one thing. So the lamp, is it just like
the lamp? Yeah.
Yeah. So the lamp is like a trigger to say, like, hey, like, by the way, like, if you see me, this isn't real. Is it kind of one of those things?
No. It's more like finally a glitch in the the picture of that he's created in his mind,
Yeah.
the imaginary world. You know, when you wake up from a dream,
Yeah.
you remember all the details of the dream.
Yeah.
In your waking state, you're like, that was so obviously not a dream. That person had a butt face for
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
face, and you're like, I don't know why I didn't click in my dream that
Yeah.
I'm dreaming. Only when I'm awake, I realize that.
Yeah. A small
This
hiccup
is
or glitch, you know?
A hiccup or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
This was his hiccup, and it showed you like the power of his dream state he was in, because it was in something so small, and he only just picked up on it, like
Yeah.
by luck.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the way it glitched as well was so creepy. It's kind of hard to understand exactly what the glitch looked like, because he was just saying the perspective of the lamp didn't really work.
Yeah.
So in my mind, when I heard the story, I imagined it in 2D. And you know when you play like games and it's a 3D/2D game where you're moving in 3D, but all of the assets and trees and whatever are 2D and they just face towards you any direction you walk in?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
You know, when it's like, I don't know, everything is locked to your eyes and
Yes.
a 2D silhouette will just turn towards you. It'll pivot so that you
Yes.
can't see behind it ever, but
Right.
it's still 2D. That's what I imagine he was seeing.
Yeah.
Like a 2D lamp, but in a 3D world, and is constantly facing towards him in any direction that he walks into.
Gotcha.
And that would be terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Like little hiccups, man. They're actually like, now that I think about it, like, what if you realize like the architects accidentally left a glitch in your dream, and then you last minute before you wake up, you notice it, you know, like that feeling alone is kind of spooky.
Yeah, that's very Inception, the architects.
Yeah, yeah.
Assuming someone designed your dream.
Exactly, you know, so, but that's crazy. So anyways, tell me more. Essentially, this guy imagined 10 years of his life, or realistically, like he was living that life, and then suddenly a branch from that timeline broke off, and he's now like
Okay.
in an
You're
alternate
getting
version.
into timelines, which is good, because this next story kind of goes into that. So I'll do a quick read through of this next one.
Okay.
All right?
Sure.
So this is from a commenter. It's the top commenter. It's 12 years ago as well. It was edited about 4 years ago, but I don't think there were too many changes. It's called Risley Bear. That's the name. Sorry, that's the name of the user, not the story.
I was gonna say, like, that doesn't sound scary. That sounds like
Yeah,
modern
yeah.
TikTok jargon.
The Rizzler.
Yeah.
No, it's that's the name of the user.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into it. So, I used to get bronchitis. Okay, let me start
That's
again.
the story. That's all to the time. That's all my number 2. I got bronchitis, and that's what happened.
I don't know why that like jump scared me.
Yeah.
I
That's
just
how the second story ends.
I couldn't move forward from that point.
Sorry. Okay. let's go.
Because the first in it's like it's just that, and then he instantly goes into brackets. I
Yeah.
don't know why he couldn't start the story.
Yeah, that's weird.
I used to get bronchitis often, brackets, every 2 to 3 months, close brackets. And one time it was particularly bad. I had friends checking in on me, making sure I was taking my meds regularly, and one friend made a lot of tea for me and made sure I drank it regularly. I have no memory of this time. During that time, I lived a completely different life. It wasn't 10 years like the original person that posted, though it was just a few weeks. Up until I got sick, I was very unhappy with my life in general. Very depressed, a lot of the time, even suicidal. My best friend had died recently, and basically my whole life sucked. During these few weeks, where I was out, in parentheses, I managed to find ways to fix most of these problems. My friend even came back. I was super happy, met a great girl, huge promotion at work, everything got better. I think at this point it's pretty obvious he's living a dream, right?
Yeah.
One afternoon, my friend and I were hanging out at our favorite bar, and I realized I hadn't shown him any of the tattoos I got while he was dead. I went to show him the one I got in memorial of him, and it was literally dripping off my skin, as were all the other tattoos that I had gotten since his death. At that point, it occurred to me that he was dead, that I somehow had a child with this woman I had met a few weeks ago, and that the bar that we were in was an abandoned and it was empty, and it was lined with cobwebs, which I hadn't noticed before. That whole existence ends there in that abandoned bar. No more story there. I assume this is when I started walking around on my own again, but I still have no memory of that either. In fact, I have no memory of anything for a week after I woke up and started walking around again. During that week, my friends tell me I didn't speak or make eye contact, rarely ate in front of anyone. They would leave food out for me, and when they would come back, the dishes would be empty. I have no memory of any of this. My first memories kick back in while I'm at work. It was difficult to cope with this, to finally get all this weight off my shoulders and finally be happy again. To finally put that part of my life behind me was the best feeling I've ever experienced, and then to wake up and find out that it's not real. It's hard to accept as reality. Every night, you go to bed expecting to wake up in that dream world and learn that bad world was actually the dream. But that never happened. This was 3 or 4 years ago now. Sometimes, when I'm really stressed out, little pieces will creep into my dreams. The dripping tattoos, for example. But the one that haunts me the most is every once in a while, I'll have a dream where I'm on the couch with my son and my wife is in the kitchen doing something. The phone rings and I answer it, and it's my current girlfriend. She asks, "What's that noise?" And I say, "That's my son." And as soon as I say that, it becomes obvious to me that she isn't the mother and she's not my wife in the kitchen. Then I wake up. So it's a very messy dream state that this guy has.
Yeah.
Because his current girlfriend wakes him up basically from the dream he's having with his wife and son, which is crazy. And he also had a wife and son in a week
Bro,
of
does this guy
his
have
life.
a wife's husband as well? What? What? How many wife, girlfriends,
Yeah.
sons? Yeah.
I don't know. I know it's my stupid brain screwing with me, but something in my head that I can't quite explain that knows that this is reality that hasn't yet come to pass. His brain knows that this is a reality that hasn't yet come to pass.
Yep.
So it's from a different timeline.
Yep.
Or a reality I missed the turn for. It's so real. It's actually
Exactly.
caused some problems between myself and my current girlfriend. Because in the back of my brain, I know someday I will meet my wife and that this is temporary.
That's brutal. Oh my God.
But the update is where things get interesting. Over the years, a bunch of people have reached out to me about this post. It's been 7 years as of this update since I wrote the above. I've married my girlfriend, moved across the country, bought a house, changed careers. I'm happy now. And when my friends from back then visit me, they tell me I'm a totally different person and that they're happy I'm still even alive, let alone happy and healthy. My wife and I are having our first child in a few weeks, a baby boy. I have a few weird things like the lamp that have poked through from that dream world to the real world. The kitchen from the dream world is in my current house. My wife bought the house without me seeing it, and I nearly passed out the first time I saw it. There was also a mountain in front of the house in my dream world, and the mountain is about a mile away in front of my house right now. Not a similar mountain, the same mountain from the dream.
This is so interesting. You need to dig more into the dream stuff, man.
I know every inch of it from the dream world, and it kind of creeps me out. My mother-in-law is very spiritual, and she tells me that she will explain it all to me someday when I'm ready to understand it. The rest of the house is different. My wife is the girlfriend from the original post, not the wife in my dreams. I have feelings about that, but the edges get rounder as time goes on. I've gotten treatment for some mental health issues, a neurogenetic brain disorder. It was a couple of things. I think it was partly stress, grief, mental illness, and a mild intolerance for that tea that he was being given. But I also think that a bit of a symptom of how the universe actually works. I think maybe the sensory suite of the human being can only experience this universe in a certain way. And sometimes when our brains break, things bleed through due to the true nature of the universe. Maybe all of time and all of possible versions of time really do happen at once. And when your mind is bent a certain way, pieces of other times and versions poke through. I don't know. Maybe my memory of the dreams has changed over time to fit the reality now, and my kitchen and my mountain view have been superimposed over the memory from my dream. People go on in the comments to be like, no, that dream state that you had is an alternative timeline, and those things like really are exactly the same as the things that you're seeing now. And there's like this weird overlap of timelines and parallel universes. But this one was so scary because he's like certain that the kitchen and the mountain are exactly the same one from his dreams, and that his soon-to-be child is a son as well, the same that he had in his dream. And like all these things are starting to overlap. So it's weird how the dream is slowly turning into the
into like reality,
real
right?
world. Yeah, the
I love
reality.
this. I love this so much. I feel like like you and I, everybody else, when we were kids, like your life could take so many different kind of like forks, right? That could end up with you doing something, if you will, like in a certain timeline, if that makes sense, right? Like I feel like who you are right now, like could have easily been changed by a little small, like a bunch of small things, right?
Called the butterfly effect.
A butt. It's got a butter. A butt. It's got a butt, buddy.
Oh man,
Yeah.
not this again.
Yeah.
I used to get bronchitis.
yeah. That's how the story ends. But
Yeah.
like we need to go more into this, man, because it's so interesting. I feel like my life, I've had so many thoughts about who I could be or what would happen, where I'd be, and I feel like so many of those feelings feel so warm and like close still. If that makes sense, I don't know how to explain it. You know?
Yeah, you're more talking about like alternate realities. But what's scary about this is in a state of trauma or stress, they are suddenly propelled or launched into those alternate realities and they get a glimpse of it.
Yeah.
So now you're talking about like a fork in the road of the potential person you could have become.
Yeah.
Let's say you become a freaking UFC fighter, right?
Yeah, dude.
Imagine you one day have a really traumatic bronchitis event,
Yeah.
and you suddenly dream about that for a week, and you actually are living that, or years,
Yeah.
and then you come back to this world. How crazy would that be on your brain?
Yeah. No, honestly, that's such a cool thing to just like even imagine to begin with. I really want to like. I wish you had more of this kind of stuff to talk about in the future. That is,
Yeah. No, don't worry. I found a ton of Reddit like creepy Reddit threads where people are talking about their experiences with alternate realities.
Yeah.
And they're like certain this is real. And so many people back them up and say it's happened to me as well.
Yeah,
We're talking hundreds of thousands. It's actually insane.
Yeah.
But I love how this was prompted by a TikTok. I was like, what is going on?
Dude, you find crazy stuff on that platform, man. Like a lot of like quite deep thinking posts, if that makes sense. Which I love,
know,
man.
and
It's so good.
people make a fleeting 10-second video about it, and then it takes me down a rabbit hole where I'm reading all these threads about, alternate realities and all this stuff.
It's crazy, man. We need to look more into that stuff, I think.
Well, I think the whole thing is that like even scientists haven't looked deep enough because there's no answers to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what me and you can do, my guy. I don't know what we can do.
We can just chat about it with brackets
Yeah,
in
yeah.
between our sentences. That's all we can do, really. So,
Oh my God. It's been so long since I've like properly read a really long Reddit thread. I usually skim read it,
Yeah.
but reading it out loud, I was trying to actually give the whole story, and I just didn't realize, like, you forget that these are just ordinary people.
Yeah.
And some people's grammar is ass, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
It is absolute ass.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like the sentences were broken up so much that became the horror side of the story. I feel like.
Yeah. But
But no, I
But
just
I
wanted to
appreciate
point
it.
out.
I appreciate
I-
people's stories, like they're raw, who cares if they can't
Mm.
write, I guess.
Who knows? Maybe some of our nightmares one day will turn into our reality. You never know.
Whoa. Mr. Scissors Man. Dude, I feel like we ran into so many like moments where like, what if like that stuff comes back and connects to our current life, like in the later years?
I hope not. But the Scissors Man is a story for another day. That's an Easter egg story. We got to do it for like the 50th episode or the 100th episode.
Yeah.
But that's for those of you listening, that's a personal experience that Ari and I had in our childhood that was so terrifying.
Yeah, no.
That we
have to talk
can't
about
look
it.
at scissors. Yeah, we can't look at scissors the same way anymore.
Before that episode
yeah.
ends, though, I do just want to quickly double check. Do you also remember another horror story that we experienced overseas together outside my dad's office building, where the elevator
yeah.
opened and I felt like a car, just the
Yeah.
car's presence was evil. I don't know how to explain
Yeah.
it. Did you feel
Yeah,
that
yeah.
too? Okay, good.
I remember that. We'll get into that one another time. But
Okay, good.
unfortunately for today, we've run out of time. So I hope you enjoyed that. And we'll see you next week.
That was great. Let's hear more of it. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.